Christine was a single mother whose father had irresponsibly run away early in her pregnancy. On Saturday, March 10, 1928, Christine had planned to take her son to the movies, but a colleague called in sick and needed her to cover the shift, so she had to leave her 9-year-old son at home alone. However, this decision made her regret for life. Once the shift was over, Christine rushed home, but her son was not at home. She searched all the places in the neighborhood and asked all the neighbors, but found nothing. As night fell, Christine was in a complete panic and collapse. Because Walter never stays out until dark, Christine called the police, but the police refused to open a case on the grounds that he had been missing for less than 24 hours. After a night of torment, the second morning, the police finally came over to ask about the case. Soon, the news of Walter's disappearance hit the newspapers. The incident attracted the attention of local churches and residents. After 5 months of anxious waiting, Captain Jones, who was in charge of the missing child case, told Christine the good news that the police had found Walter. Christine could no longer restrain herself after hearing this, and tears of excitement ran out. In recent years, the Los Angeles Police Department is deeply involved in corruption and abuse of power and other scandals. In order to restore a positive image, Christine to pick up her son at the train station, the police specially arranged a large number of media reporters to the scene, used to promote the merits of the police. But when Christine was expecting to see the boy, but froze because he is not her son, the captain was adamant that this was Walter. The boy was also accurate name and home address. A hug and shouted mother. Christine was stunned, and she again made it clear that this was not her son. The captain said, after all, also suffered 5 months of ordeal. Some changes in appearance is normal. She is now emotionally unstable. Did not immediately recognize it as understandable. So you first take the child home for a few days to try, after any doubts at any time to reflect. In the captain's coercion, Christine was confused, and the boy left a photo of the reunion of mother and son under the lens of the reporter. But upon returning home, Christine was even more certain that the boy was not her son, as the boy had undergone isolation surgery and was a few inches shorter than Walter was 5 months ago. She asked the boy who he really was, but the boy just wouldn't say anything. Christine then approached Captain Jones to explain the situation, but the captain accused her of avoiding her motherly responsibilities by not wanting to identify her son. Christine suppressed her anger and pleaded with the police to keep looking for her son, because every minute wasted now. All may be her son's hope of survival. The captain knew but did not do anything. He then sent a doctor to Christine's home. Christine thought the police had finally believed her, but the doctor was justified in his nonsense, claiming that the child had become shorter because of psychological trauma, resulting in shortening of the spine, and the explanation was ludicrous. The doctor not only colluded with the police and accused her, but also spread rumors everywhere, falsely accusing Christine of constantly looking for trouble with the police, in order to not want to take responsibility for the mother. The good thing is, a respected pastor in the church learned of Christine's situation and took the initiative to lend a helping hand. The pastor has long been committed to exposing the corruption of the police department and violent murder practices. He knows that the police will not admit their own mistakes, so Christine no longer at the mercy of the police, but should be brave enough to fight it, so that Walter's tragedy will not happen again. With the support of the pastor, Christine first found her son's dentist. After examination, the dentist was able to confirm that the child was not Walter and gave Christine a certificate. Next, Christine found Walter's teacher. As expected, the boy could not call the teacher's name, much less find his seat. The teacher not only testified in writing, but also said the teacher would be willing to testify in court if needed. After getting the evidence, Christine then informed the media of the mistake made by the police. Captain Jones was furious to learn of this, and he recruited Christine to the police station, having suffered from persecution delusions and insanity, forcing Christine into a mental institution. Christine at first wanted to tell the medical staff that she was not sick, but a woman named Carol who was locked up here told her that the more you say you are not crazy, the more people think you are crazy. You smile is paranoid. You do not smile is depressed. You stay normal is withdrawn and mentally stressed. And the reason they are all locked up here is because they offended the police. They cannot say anything. Christine found the doctor, indicating that she was not sick at all, much less need medication, but the doctor asked her to sign a document proving that the boy returned by the police was Walter, and that the police were right to send her here for treatment. As long as the document was signed, she could be discharged tomorrow. When it comes to her son, Christine holds the line and refuses to compromise. The doctor then had him force-fed his medication. Carol heard about it and came over to help Christine, but ended up getting pulled into the motor, being tortured. Even so, Carol still encouraged Christine must not give up the fight. Meanwhile, a detective caught a boy illegally crossing the border and stranded in Los Angeles at the farm. But when immigration is ready to deport the boy, he confesses to the detective about a shocking case because he can't stand the condemnation of his conscience. According to the boy's confession, he was under the coercion of his cousin. In total, he killed nearly 20 boys. The cousin often drove him to look for small children who were left alone, and then coaxed them into the car and took them to the farm to be imprisoned, and then killed them afterwards. The detective was so shocked to hear this that he took out the photos of missing children he carried with him and asked the boy to pick out the ones he had seen. As one photo fell, the air seemed to freeze. The detective immediately reported the situation to Captain Jones, who in turn ordered the detective to take the boy back to the station and not to reveal the information to anyone. After returning to the police station, the detective looked at the photos of the missing children painfully. Driven by conscience, he called on 2 colleagues, quietly took the boy out of the police station to the scene of the crime. The boy then dug up the data white bones in the place where the body was buried. By this time, the horrific child abuse case was known to the world. Christine was in the psychiatric hospital on the 6th day. The doctor saw that he always refused to sign the document. They are ready to implement electric shock chat. At that moment, the priest arrived with a lawyer and a newspaper, and the doctor had to release Christine. However, Christine had just left the mental hospital when she learned from the newspaper that Walter might have been killed and was devastated. Under the police detective's interrogation, the boy impersonating Walter finally admitted that he was actually a homeless boy who had always dreamed of coming to Los Angeles to flush a certain movie star's horse. So he cooperated with the police to impersonate Walter's side of the dehumanizing murderer, absconded back to Canada, and later arrived at his sister. Immediately after the police were reported, the murderer was caught. Christine took the LAPD to court with the assistance of a lawyer who was willing to help call him for free. And the first thing they did was to take the court order to the sisters' women who were mentally ill to court. On this day, the public organized a demonstration protest team to show solidarity with Christine. However, in court, Captain Jones not only refused to admit fault, but also put all the fault on the boy who impersonated Walter. In the end, the police chief orchestrated a show of identification, falsely claiming to have helped the boy find his biological mother. This side, in front of witness testimony and a large amount of corroborating evidence, the judge sentenced Captain Jones to be permanently suspended. In order to restore the public's trust in the police department, the police chief was also removed from his post. In addition to the introduction of relevant laws and regulations, law enforcement officers are not free to put citizens in mental institutions. At the same time, after the child murderer was sentenced to 2 years in prison by hanging, the murderer rushed to Christine and said he did not kill Walter, which made Christine's silent heart beat again. 2 years passed quickly. The day before his departure, the killer asked to meet with Christine, seemingly wanting to tell the truth. But when it came to face, the killer regretted it, claiming that he could not open his mouth, and because he was afraid of going to hell after death. He hurriedly believed that God could not lie even now, and his intention was self-explanatory. But Christine preferred to believe that her son was still alive. The 7th year from Walter's disappearance, things seemed to have taken another turn. On this day, the police found a boy who escaped from the farm. According to the boy's account, he was abducted to the farm and locked up with Walter and several other boys. One night, they escaped from the broken hole in the barbed wire fence. The boy's foot was stuck. Walter then turned back to help him, but because the movement was too loud alarmed the killer. Several children then fled in different directions, so the boy did not know whether the others were caught. He only knew that if not for Walter's help, he would never have escaped. After the boy got out of danger, because of the fear of being found by the killer, so have not dared to go home, Christine was proud of his son's bravery, and at the same time his heart rose to infinite hope. Maybe Walter is somewhere right now, just like the boy, afraid to go home because of fear. The movie is based on a series of child abduction and murder cases in Riverside County, Los Angeles, USA in 1928. Also known as the Chicken Coop Murders, the murderous maniac played with and abused nearly 20 boys who were abducted and then destroyed with an axe. The captain, who abused his position, enjoyed police retirement benefits and lived to the age of 102. Christine died in 1964 at the age of 75. She never gave up looking for her son throughout her life. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, because by subscribing you have supported me to make better videos. What movie do you want next? Just comment below. Have a nice day.